Now we compare Chile to the Philippines. Population 100 million in the Philippines, Chile 17 million. GDP per capita, GDP 300, almost 400 million in the Philippines, 280 million in Chile. GDP per capita in the Philippines, $4,000. 4 times that. In Chile, it's 4 times that. The workforce is 5 times in the Philippines. Unemployment is about the same. Exports, the Philippines is a net importer. Chile is a net exporter on the back of the strong mining industry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the Asian century. We've got China and India, which are the economic engines of this century. We have iron ore being produced and coal being produced and provided by Australia and Indonesia. And we know that there's vast copper, gold and nickel potential in the Philippines. There is an opportunity for the Philippines to benefit from what is the cauldron of economic growth and prosperity that is Asia. We will be there as Oceania for the long term as part of this opportunity, working with government and community to maximise the benefits to all of our stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, Philippines can be the Chile of Asia. Thank you very much.
So the floor is now open to questions. I'll ask the first one. Mick, I know it wasn't easy to get the project started, but could you tell us what in your view was the largest hurdle that Oceania was able to cross in getting this project going? And I guess we kind of want to learn a little more about how that's done, and maybe you can share that discussion with us.
Thanks, Leo. Didipio was discovered in the late 80s, and probably some of you could tell me the month and the date. It went through a number of owners and a number of feasibility studies, and I think the FTAA was issued in 1994, and in 1995 the mining law was passed and then immediately challenged under the Constitution as being unconstitutional. So the project was basically held in abeyance for 10 years until that constitutionality was upheld by the High Court. It was in 2005, after that court decision, that Climax merged with sold the project to Oceania Gold, and the company set about starting construction. In 2007, 2008, I was actually at Prominent Hill, and I know it very well. The GFC had a huge impact on development projects in the mining industry, and costs were going out of control. The project got into trouble, and I'm not afraid to say that there wasn't good management at the time to keep those costs under control, and it was put on care and maintenance in 2008. There were a lot of people that weren't happy with that development, including the people on the ground at Didipio, and they lost their jobs, and some of them went illegal mining them, so some of them were just unhappy that the project was not going ahead. About 18 months ago, just before I arrived, we took a new approach to engage the community to get the project started again. It really is about embracing their needs, wishes, and respecting their rights, and we have forcefully made that commitment to all, through all of my employees and our staff, that we will make the community part of our project. Philosophically, I believe that if you have the support of government, if you have a strong mining law, and if you have a strong contract with the government, then the rest of it is up to you as the developer to get your social licence. And we've worked very hard to gain that social licence from our local community. So, Leo, if I can put it in one sentence, it's all about the local community.
Thank you very much. Gavin?
Do you have any issues at Didipio with illegal small-scale miners And the second part is, how are you getting on with your local government units?
There are small-scale miners on our FTAA. There were more last year, and they are not causing any inhibiting our construction or operations at this stage. So we have had an ongoing process of compensation for land, and the vast majority of those illegal miners or small-scale miners have now ceased their activities. On the subject of LGUs, we have a very strong relationship with the barangay captain, with a very strong relationship with the municipal mayor and the province, both provinces, Carino and Nueva Vizcaya. That relationship is also strong. So like the local community, your relationship with your LGUs is also very important. Without them, you can't do it, and we work hard on that.
Thank you for that. Brian, you had a question?
Good afternoon. This is not so much a mining question, more a political question. I'm not a miner, so I can ask political questions, right? But it's really for people like Delia and Leo. I'm not going to ask you to change anything, Delia, don't worry. But quite often in conversations, we keep coming across the issue of the Constitution. It was written by well-intentioned people back in the days before the world started to develop. It was written in it was 60, 70 years ago, whatever it was. But, sorry? 1908.
35.
Oh, so he's even older than me, okay. But the reality is that in the world we now live in, and the world the Philippines is competing with Chile and other countries, Indonesia, locally, and so on, if the Constitution needs to be changed, change the damn thing. Why? We keep hearing that the Constitution doesn't allow this, doesn't allow that. And I know this is an easy thing to say and it's probably a hard thing to do, but it's a long-term, it should be, I think, a long-term objective for those who see the long-term benefits. And some of the numbers that we've just heard from our friend at Oceana indicate that this is the way to go. And if we don't start tackling this problem and removing that major roadblock, this generation or the next generation or the one after that will be suffering the problems of a constitution that's been allowed to live past its sell-by days. Change the small parts that are affecting investment and restricting investment.
Good question. We have among us here, actually in table number 10, somebody who helped draft the Constitution in 1971. So I'll ask Joey to comment on you belong to the Philippine Constitution Society, right? Would you care to comment on that issue?
First, there are 3 constitutions of the Philippines, 1935, during the American period. Then this was what was amended by ourselves in 1970. And after that, there was the new constitution of 1987, which is the ruling constitution now. And there have been attempts by previous governments to revise the constitution. Except what causes opposition to it is the revision on the constitution is used to convert our unitary system to a federal system, to convert our presidential system to a parliamentary system. The Constitution has been used to extend the terms of the chief executive of the country. And so economic issues become secondary. Whereas if we had the Constitutional Convention or both houses of Congress meet as a constituent assembly, just on economic issues, just one issue, lifting of the nationalization component on all fields, not only natural resources, this could be done in a couple of months. But we're busy with other things right now. And I won't comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. I think you had the right question for the right guy. I think Ambassador Albert, did you have a question? Did you raise your hand?
Congratulations. I'm glad I made it in time because I heard it was going to be a terrific presentation. I was just wondering, this is not a question, but perhaps a comment. A presentation like that, I think, would do very well in universities, Rotary clubs. I've just come from Zamboanga and I've attended women's conferences, and then I went to Canatuan where we had a terrific visit. I think we are facing a lot of uphill battles because we have not really, the industry has not been communicating to the public that there is a big public out there waiting to hear from the industry. And the presentation today, I think, would be a terrific presentation because it focuses on a very specific project. And I believe that we can surmount a lot of the current challenges if we could spread out a little bit and carry on with perhaps a wider community of people. As they say, politics and diplomacy and perhaps mining is about addition. You have to get the message out there. I was just thinking of Rotary clubs, and we have been discussing at the University of Asia Pacific how the Philippines could get into the EITI, Extractive Industry Transparency International, as a stamp of approval of how responsible mining is in the Philippines. And I think the UANP is a terrific venue because they have started discussions on how mining could be a very could play a very important role in overall economic development. That's my comment. But a little question. 6 years ago, when we first organized the Mineral Development Council, one of the first issues we thought we could solve overnight was an issue in Didipio. And this had to do with a religious individual who had initiated movements to stop the entire project. I was wondering, some of those whom I sent to go and try to talk to everyone who were concerned, and I think at the time you were so scared they wouldn't come back alive because there was quite a problem up there. But they all came back alive and they said, look, the community is for it, but the religious person who is also the head of the Regional Development Council was strongly against it. So I'm delighted to know that you are moving on in spite of certain roadblocks. Perhaps we can learn from your experience, but from what you've said earlier, a lot of it is community relations. But I was wondering how you made that connection to heaven.
Thank you for that. There's time for at least one more question. I'd have you know that I understand that, Mick, you flew up to Manila from where you were precisely to have this conversation with us. So, I think we're all honored that Mick did fly to speak to us today. So, if you have one more question, anybody with a question, then if there's none, then I'd like you to please all join me to thank Mick for flying up to the Philippines just to have this 2 hours with us. Thank you very much. Before you go, as a gesture of our appreciation, you can take this Australian wine back to Australia with you.
I'll have to drink it before I get there.
You can drink it.